Hi, welcome to the Linux channel. So yesterday I was having a small chat in WhatsApp with my student, and he was asking a query about memory leaks, and also he asked about how to debug memory leaks and things like that. Like I always advocate, I was suggesting initially to avoid as much as possible dynamic memory, like time to time mention in my videos also. I'm not an advocate of excessively using dynamic memory. You can use static memory because it gives a sort of definite certainty, unlike what you get in dynamic allocation. I know there are many who challenge this point and may not agree with that, but the thing is, I'm not some random YouTuber sitting and sharing these things. I do have my own work. I do work in projects, and I do architect stuff, and I believe in something, and my design is based on that belief. So I emphasize the code, once it is written, has less amount of bugs, least amount of bugs, and not much it has issues in terms of further maintainability and stuff like that, because it also depends on the client budget and stuff, and my reputation and stuff. So I expect a code is written, it kind of represents the flow quite easily, and as well it has the least amount of bugs as much as possible, and predicted results. So this is my design principle. The more you use pointers, or the more you use dynamic allocation, and you play with the pointers, and in case if you forget cleaning up any pre-allocated buffers, the more your code is going to have any unwanted memory leaks, and further down the lane you may get some type of runtime issues. So this will affect also the overall stability of your overall architecture. Hence I am giving this point of view as an architect, not some just a random YouTube video. The advantage you get with static allocation, or in the case you can have large buffers in the form of arrays, is you get allocation even before your the process starts, which is I mean the time when the process starts. It is not like malloc where it is unpredictable, and you allocate as and when it is needed. So this is a known thing, and hence due to this reason, always when you allocate buffers with static allocation, let it be int a equal to 100, or let it be some array, you allocate a large array something like this in a global variable. Let's imagine you have this char, and then a of something 10,000 bytes or 1000 bytes or something like this, or we can call this as buff. So something like this. Okay, so what happens is you are getting a large area of pre-allocated memory, and it is also doesn't have to deal with the complex memory management stuff, unlike you do the same thing with something like char star buff, and then you do this, and then later you do this buff equal to do the typecast whatever char star in this case, and then do the malloc and do the rest of the things. So if you do this, always you need to check if this buff is allocated equal to null, then handle this situation, and then finally you do this cleanup and all that stuff. Okay, or clean or free, whatever it is I'm saying. So you need to deal this. Okay, this is the thing, it gives an uncertainty every time you use. Hence I'm saying how you can avoid some unpredictable issues, or how you can avoid memory leaks. That's the main topic of this video. But before that, I'm giving, like I give always, prerequisites. First, avoid using any dynamic allocation as much as possible. Then you can think, if there is no choice, if you need a large allocation, something like this, 10,000 bytes or 9,000 bytes in kernel space especially, it's kind of not possible. So sometimes you may not get it and all that. So in that case, you need to do dynamic allocation. Hence you are supposed to use only the dynamic allocation in some situations like this. So what happens is, in that case, there are few tips you can follow, as I'm going to discuss, which I use in my code. Again, I'm saying these are not some random tips. This is the thing which I use, hence I am sharing my certain tips or knowledge to you, so that it is helpful to avoid. First we avoid the memory leaks, later we worry about the debugging part. So I am saying, as much possible you avoid getting memory leaks. You don't need to worry about debugging. In my case, I don't need to much worry about debugging, because my design principle is such that I don't get into memory leaks as much as possible. Even if it is kernel code, I try to implement such design architecture, so that I don't get into some trouble in the later onwards when it is running. Okay. So what you can do is, there is another way you can do. Say for instance, you need of course a symmetric allocation of buffers. Say you need some 100 1000 byte buffers. Of course you can do some sort of an array, multi-dimensional array, something you can do. Buff of you need totally 1000 bytes of, or 100 into 1000 bytes each actually. So you can see there it is a huge set of buffers. I am saying not array, because this is unnecessarily, people do get confused. They see this as array. I am saying what is the thing is, you see the purpose for which it is used. So let's assume you need some packet buffers. Okay, so we call this as packet buff, something like this. So you have each chunk of allocation, you are storing a packet. So you have a large packet buffers. So each buffer, let's imagine its MTU is 1500. So instead of 1000, you make it as 1500. Okay, so let's just make this, instead of 1500, or give some more room, make it into 2000 bytes. So you have that. So which means you have some packet array of 100 such instances of 2000 bytes each instance can hold. So you can call this as multi-dimensional array. This is the dumb college definition. What I am saying is, see the purpose for which you are using this buffer. Hence I am saying, for my purpose, I don't see this as array, I am seeing this as packet buffers, and we may be using this as a packet queue or some purpose. Okay, again I am saying this same crap you can do with linked list, but the issue with that linked list is excessive usage of dynamic allocation. So I am saying, either you do this, or with even dynamic allocation we can solve this kind of a problem. So there's another way you can do is, you can of course do some sort of packet buff, and you can tell 100 instances of such pointer char star or something like that. Okay, so don't go to scrutinize my code. I am saying okay, don't scrutinize my code, I am just giving like a pseudo code. You can understand what I am trying to achieve here. So imagine you have 100 pointers of packet buff, and then each pointer you can of course do this packet buff of each item. You can put some for loop, and then in each iteration you can of course do that same malloc stuff. So you can do this char star and then malloc of 2000 bytes. You can anyway do this. Okay, so keep iterating. Instead of 0 you can make this as I, and you can see there you can allocate such large packet buffers. Okay, so it is a packet buffer in plural. So many buffers are there, the quantity is 100. Okay, see, you can do something like this, and in this case it is kind of symmetric, but there are instances people do in real code. Somewhere they may do a malloc of some 100 bytes. This is for one pointer. Okay, and somewhere they may be doing somewhere else a malloc of some 150 bytes or something like that. This is another pointer. So as you keep allocating these things, which is why we need to do this free of, I think it is free is the API. Let me just check. Malloc. Yeah, free is the API to free it. Okay, so anyway you need to do this free of p1 whatever it is. So the corresponding ones, as and when you don't need that allotted or allocated memory. So you need to do that, and if you fail, that's what we call as a memory leak. So you do this in conjunction with this pre-allocated memory. So you are actually freeing this, and somewhere down the lane you need to even free this as you don't need that resource anymore, or you are quitting that how to say, you are quitting that process or the application. Again, you need to do that corresponding free of P2. So this is one theory asset. So like this you may be doing it. In this case it is asymmetric allocation, means one you are getting 100 bytes, one you are getting 150 bytes, and this may be an int array, who knows, this may be a char array. Okay, so this may be, I mean, char star not array, I mean to say char star buffer, okay, of that malloc space. So this may be int star whatever. So you are getting something like this. So this is one way to do that, and this is a method which is prone to memory leaks, and this is what generally as a whole industry discusses. So if you have like this, or if you have like this, there is another way. Actually I do sometimes in my kernel code, especially, okay, I do even in user space when I deal a large amount of dictionaries, some sort of hash and all that. So what I can do is this method we can little refine and propose a different method. See, what we can do is we can have one large buff, okay, and we can say this is like char star or some pointer, okay, just have a large buffer. And for this large buffer, what you can do is you can allocate, it is like a you are actually designing a memory management module within your software, something like that, okay. Just try to focus. See, large buffer of what you can do is you can equal to, what you can do is char star, and you can do a malloc of fairly large space, okay, something like you can do 100 into, we can take that example itself, so 2000 bytes or some large value. So in this case you can see there 3 zeros and 2 zeros, this is around 100 into 200, I am seeing in kbs, so this is around 100 into 2000, so around 200 kbs, but divided by 1024, I am sorry, yeah, divided by 1024, this is around 195 or 200 kbs nearby. So this is our allocated memory. So now what you can do is you can actually now iterate a for loop, just see the performance of your code. Hence I am saying I do use such method, just see the difference. See, you can iterate a for loop, and here what you do is you can actually do another this thing. From here we can take this method, where is that, yeah, something like that. What you do is we can take this method, okay. What we do is this char star, what we do is pkt buff of I equal to, what you can do is large buff of I I star 2000, you can iterate, okay. So the first item is going to be 0, so this is going to be the 0 position. See, just a small correction I just noticed once the entire video sheet is over. See, here what I meant is, instead of this, it is actually wrong. What you do is you do this typecast char star whatever it is, and then do this large buff, and then you can set plus I star 2000. Hence I said it is not to be confused. I am not giving the exact kind of code, I am kind of giving a vague idea with a sort of pseudo code like approach. So you can put one bracket here, and you put one bracket here, so which means you are doing a typecast of that buffer with an offset added. See, you are getting the pointer plus that many bytes later on, and then get it typecast, and then you can assign it for this packet buff of I, or any pointer. In that case you can have it like p1 equal to something like that. You can do that. Hence I said, don't take literally what I wrote there. So imagine this way you can use the buffer, the pointer plus an offset, and then typecast it, and then allocate or assign, not allocate, assign to a pointer of your choice. Hence you kind of use the same principle, and then you can start doing it for even asymmetric allocations of various pointers if you need. Okay, so don't take this literally. You can do something like this, and you get the same results like you do over here. So in this case there are various discrete buffers are there, but you can do this way. Okay, so let's continue with this show, right? So this is going to be the 0 location, I mean to say. So the first iteration is going to be 0, so it will be there, and the next iteration is 1 into 2000. So after 2000 bytes the next one will be there. So here what we are trying to attempt is we have a large buffer, and we are setting these pointers like this. See, packet buff pointers to this position and offset. This is the offset for me. Okay, so offset 2000 bytes. The next iteration I am setting here, which is the 2000th location. So the next offset is going to be 4000, whatever it is. So this is going to iterate. So like this. See, now what advantage you have in this method is you have a fairly large contiguous single allocation, and when you need to clear up this allocation, this static this dynamic allocation, all you need to do is free of this large buff is more than enough. It is going to take care of cleaning up that whole space. Okay, imagine you are doing this here. Again you need to run one for loop, and then you need to clear up all this 100 instances of 2000 bytes of malloc dynamic allocated memory. So I am saying this is a nightmare. If you fail to do this iteration for loop, then again you get memory leaks, and if you don't have for loop, if you do independent every allocation, then again you may miss something. So this technique is also helpful because sometimes I deal this with asymmetric allocation. So in this case it is symmetric. See, each one is offsetted by 2000 bytes. See, the difference is 2000 bytes here, this is another 2000 bytes. So it is keep going to continue that. Sometimes I keep this area quite fairly large so that I don't hit upon any boundary issues and all. So again I am saying, as I implement, there is even more things I do follow. Instead of 100 I can give 110, and then do it for 100 instances and keep some as a reserve actually. So I am saying I can take a very large buffer, some I keep as reserve, some I can start assigning the pointers and start using them. So see the advantage in this. Just one free command is more than enough to clean up this whole allocated space. And if you have any asymmetric, use the same technique, and what you can do is see here, you can still do that. This first x amount of area you use it for char, next x amount of area, this may be just equivalent of say 100 bytes, this may be equivalent of some 250 bytes, but this you use it as a int buffer. Okay, and something else some 500 bytes equivalent, you can use it for struct buffer actually, who knows actually. So you can have different pointers pointing at different offsets. Okay, see here, this is pointing here, the first one will be pointing here, which is the 0 position or 0 offset. The next one will be offsetted 100 bytes, and then 250 bytes whatever. Of course you can do round figure int of that many instances, so that many bytes. So you can do that as well. I am just giving a sort of pseudocode like approach. So I am just giving a sort of architecture. See, 250, or you can do round figure int of that many instances. So 50 instances or whatever, and this you can do size of or whatever, so that much you can use it as an offset. Same way, even it is not exactly 500 bytes, you can do something and give some more room as a reserve. Okay, so if you do this way, see, you can have one pointer here, the next pointer here, the next pointer here at different offsets. So now you think this is your large buffer. Okay, you just imagine, just use your common sense. When you do a free up, what you do, you have done one malloc for this large buff. Okay, one malloc for this large buff, and when you do free up, you don't need to worry about p1, p2, p3. You know, freeing up, you can just do free of large buff and the thing is over. Okay, once you do, the whole allocation is over. You don't need to worry about this, all this small pointers. All you do is, if you don't want that p1 allocation, just set it to null and reset, that's all. Okay, because it is actually not any, you know, allocated space, it holds by itself. So you just do that over it. You don't need to do any free or something. So hence I am saying the most important thing is, I am saying again, anyone working in the industry who is serious about learning code, I am saying there are two people I can see. One is learning something to impress a interview panel, a dumb stupid interview panel. I am not a person, you know, focused about this crowd. I am saying, if you are interested, you know, learning some proper, you know, coding architecture or techniques, then, you know, I can, you know, perhaps my suggestions will help you, and you can explore yourself. So if that is the case, what happens is, you know, first rule is avoid dynamic allocation at every case. Okay, leave all the advantages. I am saying you as an architect, I am saying you, not as some dumb YouTuber. Okay, one thing is avoid dynamic allocation at every case. Second thing is, if you use dynamic allocation, just use common sense, reduce the frequency of using dynamic allocation as much as possible. Okay, it's not anything heroic that you know C pointers, you know something. It's not that. Focus your code, focus your outcome of your code, not your programming skills or something. Okay, third thing is, yes, you can learn some you know, debugging thing, but still I'm telling you, as you focus the design, you don't need to much worry about the debugging techniques as well. So as I say always, the only debugging technique which I use is normal prints. Even a kernel code I use print case, because you can't use printf, so I just use print case, and my code works. And the most important aspect of my design philosophy is, it should be reliable at any cost, at the expense of using little bit more memory. So this is my design principle, and often I don't much work on embedded kind of platforms. I work on HPC, where I get even terabytes of RAM. Okay, so hence I am saying this may not suit your needs as it is, because you may work on embedded projects where you are forced to use some kind of dynamic allocation, so you can do that. So as I gave this tip, what you can now do is, you can actually create some 2-3 such pre-allocated pools. Okay, see, imagine who is stopping you. Suppose you have these pointers, p1, p2, p3, such pointers you have totally like 10 or 15 in your code, but who is stopping you to do this large buffers, some 1 or 2 in the code, and then just cut short your dynamic allocation everywhere. Okay, I'm saying, of course, this is not possible in every case. Okay, just don't take all this and then just cram in your code and then try to fit. I'm saying, use your common sense. If possible, you can change your design philosophy and then bend the rules. Okay, so that's what I am kind of trying to convey in this video. So first thing is, avoid using it. The second thing is, if you use, cut short the frequency or quantity of your dynamic allocated buffers, and even then you can manage sometimes with even simple pre-allocated large buffers, such as our humble arrays. Okay, and moreover, just don't call every array as array first. Don't be some dumb programmer from a college, once you are in the industry, call these large buffers as buffers, because it's an area where it is a huge buffer where you can store anything. It can be a file you can store there, network packets you can store, or something. So you can just use the jargon which reflects its functionality. What is that stupid array actually? Okay, I'm saying just don't be a mediocre this thing. Try to understand, when you architect some code, the most important thing is the logic, the functionality. Last comes in that thing is the actual programming skills is something you need to learn a person from me. Okay, so you are brainwashed about getting programming skills and then architecting things. I am saying, as an architect, the most important thing is how you architect, or how you do the requirement, how you accomplish that. The most important thing is that later you can worry about the programming part, and you can focus some time in terms of designing all these factors. There is no one is going to restrict you, as long as you are not some a beginner. Generally you are dictated to do what is required, but if you are an intermediary, or if you are a senior developer, or a lead, or something, architect or something, no one is dictating you. You can put your rules. Most probably no one is going to question. Okay, they just, the top management all wants is a reliable product. They don't need to worry about how many integers you used, or how many pointers you use. They don't really worry most of the times. Okay, so hope you learned something. As I say, what I say is not something everybody will agree upon. I'm saying case by case, it depends, but I'm saying try to use some of these techniques. I use in my own code, and I don't ever get into the silly memory holes and all that stuff, because I just, first in case, I avoid using dynamic memory as much as possible. There are instances I can't avoid, I do use, but even if I use, I avoid the frequency of allocation, because the more you allocate, the more you need to free, and the cycle continues, and memory holes are inevitable. So it is not going to, there is no connection between your skills and getting memory holes, because your architecture is such that you are prone to get such buggy code. Hence I'm saying, just change the approach, be out of this stupid brainwashed approach which industry follows. You do this, and then you see the results. Okay, and you can be in touch with me in mail if you are successful in terms of doing such modifications in your architecture or code as well. So hope you enjoyed the show. If you have anything to discuss, be in touch via mail. Thanks a lot for joining me. Stay tuned. Have a nice day. Bye bye.